Things continue to get personal between The Rock and Cody Rhodes, and we will find out Cody Rhodes' response to everything The Rock had to say on SmackDown last week on this week's edition of Raw. We're recording this before Raw, so keep that in mind. We'll see how Cody responds and what he has to say. But no matter what Cody has to say, here's what I think the situation is now heading into WrestleMania 40. It's a situation where The Rock must pin Cody Rhodes. And let me tell you why I think that. So, we've all kind of speculated what is going on here, right? From the beginning of this whole thing, The Rock comes back, Cody wins the Rumble, Cody hands The Rock his spot. There have been different theories about how maybe The Rock and Cody Rhodes are working together. I think we can throw those theories out the window now because I don't think this is a situation where these two guys are working together anymore because now things, as I said, have gotten way too personal, right? The Rock's taking shots at Cody Rhodes' mom, all this other stuff. I think we've got two separate stories going on. And The Rock kind of said as much. Remember on that first promo, or maybe I think it was the first one, when he said Cody's story was ending, his story or the bloodline story is just beginning, however he worded it, right? We've got two separate stories, and it's very clear that's the direction now moving forward, which, again, you can go all the way back to the WrestleMania 40 press conference kickoff event in Las Vegas, and you can see things escalated with The Rock slapping Cody. It became about more than just Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. We know now there are a lot of things tying together with The Rock. And again, at one point, there was a situation where we thought maybe these two guys were in on it from the beginning. Cody's kind of talked his way out of that. And, both of them have kind of pointed out, all right, they had the meeting, got some advice, things changed from whatever reason, which, probably was The Rock pointing out the family stuff at the kickoff event, all that. But now you've set up the situation where The Rock has made this even more personal, right? Talking about his mother, talking about his family, all this other stuff. And anytime you do that as the heel, there's always that comeuppance you're going to get from the babyface, or at least there should be, right? And that's why I have stated several times now, I think it's very clear that WWE continues to stack the deck against Cody. And I think that means he will ultimately triumph this year and defeat Roman Reigns for the championship to complete the story. But I think this story now, as I just said, has gotten bigger. And the reason why is that you have set up the tag team match to where you have The Rock and Roman Reigns taking on Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins on night 1/WrestleMania Saturday. We know the stakes. It's either going to be a clean match one-on-one on WrestleMania Sunday, or you're going to get the Bloodline rules, which I think, spoiler alert, we're probably getting the Bloodline rules because why introduce that? And that is the most attractive option of the two to give you the most doubt that Cody Rhodes will finish the story. And that's what, again, you want to do psychologically. You want to put people in a situation where everything is against the hero and you've got to find a way that he gets out of it. How does he get out of this, right? There's no chance. How could he possibly do this? And that's what they want to do, I think. Now, I have no idea ultimately how that's going to go on night 2. That's the fun, and you guys, we've all talked about it, right? In the comments and such. The unpredictability of this entire thing is what makes it so great. It feels like a new era because you can't predict every single thing and every twist and turn that's going to happen or every word that's going to come out of one of these guys' mouth right now. That makes this a lot more fun. But what I do think we're getting closer to being able to predict is who is going to take the pin in that tag team match. And I know people have pointed this out for a while now. Maybe since they first introduced it, there have been so many theories that have put out there. We're all probably kind of repeating different ones along the way. But I think now more than ever, it's obvious that the only way to go here in this tag team match on night 1 is for The Rock to pin Cody Rhodes. However you decide to get there, I know people think, okay, maybe that involves Seth Rollins turning on Cody Rhodes. Maybe that involves something else, right? Some sort of dissension between The Rock and Roman Reigns, and maybe that leads to their particular, breakup on night 2. Whatever the situation is, whatever the story is, I think no matter what, you have to have The Rock pin Cody Rhodes on night 1. And there are a couple different reasons why. For starters, you're not going to have Roman Reigns pin Cody Rhodes on night 1. I just don't think that makes a lot of sense, knowing if you're going the direction we seem to think they're going on night 2 with Cody defeating Roman, finally, getting the championship. If that's the direction you're going, I just don't think it makes a lot of sense for Reigns to pin Cody on night one. I also don't think you're going to have a situation where Seth Rollins pins The Rock, Seth Rollins pins Roman. You're certainly not going to do that. I think that's the most unlikely scenario, because why on earth would you have Seth Rollins pin Roman Reigns on night one, knowing that you're setting Cody up to face Reigns in a one-on-one match on night two? So when you look at all the different possibilities, to me, it's very clear. The one that makes the most sense is The Rock pinning Cody Rhodes, because what does that do? You now have a situation where if Cody does defeat Roman Reigns on night two of WrestleMania 40, now Hollywood Rock, heel Rock, has all the ammunition he needs. Also, as the TKO board member, and he said many times he'll do whatever he wants. He'll make titles disappear. Seth Rollins' title. He'll make sure Cody Rhodes loses the championship. He's got everything he needs to come out the next time he appears on WWE television after WrestleMania 40 and say that he pinned Cody Rhodes, and now he's going to take that championship away from Cody. Cody thinks he's finally, gotten there. Well, The Rock's going to be the one to rip it away now. And you just keep fueling the ego of this Hollywood Rock character, right? And we've talked about it in different videos. If you're just watching the channel for the first time, I don't even know how many videos we've done on the storyline at this point. We've done quite a few, breaking down all the little tiny nuances that we've seen put into segments, into promos, and what they could mean. But I think right now, where we are, there are people saying, okay, The Rock is 100% going to turn on Roman Reigns at some point soon. And I think there are some people thinking that's just automatically going to make The Rock a babyface again. Do we really think that's the direction we should go? Because from what I've seen, The Rock as a heel, as the, absolute top tier final boss, ego, all this, that's the most entertaining Rock. That's the Rock that's going to sell the most tickets. I don't think it's The Rock that all of a sudden goes back to shaking hands and kissing babies and all this other stuff. That's never really been The Rock, right? That's never really been, even when The Rock was kind of at his height, he was always kind of that guy that felt like a heel, but the fans loved him so much. They loved the fact that he had no filter, and that was kind of the point. And you're still getting kind of that same scenario here where I think heel Rock is the one you have to keep going with. I don't think it is as simple as going out and saying, well, The Rock's going to somehow turn on Roman Reigns and all of a sudden the people are going to start cheering him again. In fact, I think there's a scenario where it's the opposite, where The Rock goes so far in the direction of being the heel of this whole entire story that ultimately you get Roman Reigns as the babyface whenever he makes his return, because we would seemingly expect if he's going to lose the championship at WrestleMania 40, Roman's not going to be back on TV the following night. That's probably a really good prediction. And so he may take time off. We already know he's kind of not in that full-time role right now. Won't be that way if he loses the championship for sure. But you can almost twist this thing to where, and we knew this too, with the whole setup with the Bloodline and Roman Reigns. Yes, he's been the dominant heel in WWE for a while now. But it's all, anytime you get that, there's always that potential to flip it. And Roman, before he retires from WWE, he's going to go out as someone people are cheering nonstop. And they will be acknowledging him, maybe in the same way, maybe in a different way. But I think you're going to see that reaction change to Roman Reigns if we see The Rock turn on him. And maybe The Rock has his own formation of the Bloodline. Maybe that involves Solo Sikoa. Maybe there's a little bit something going on there. And by the way, I'm going to have a video on that soon, looking at all the different actions that we've seen from Solo in this thing and what could that mean heading into WrestleMania 40. I think there's some interesting stuff in there. But The Rock pushing himself as the final boss. We mentioned on the previous video, does that mean he's the final boss for Cody Rhodes? Does that mean he's the final boss for Roman Reigns? We hinted, okay, maybe it's probably Roman, right? Because they're going to do the final boss versus the tribal chief, the WWE marketing dream. T-shirts, taglines, everything. The marquee, final boss versus tribal chief. But in fact, when you really think about it, there's a good chance The Rock is the final boss for both of them. He's the final boss for both Cody and Roman Reigns. And if that's how they're pushing this moving forward, then it only makes sense to me that Rock is the one to pin Cody, because then you go into night two not only in a situation where Cody Rhodes has to deal with the Bloodline rules, but he has to deal with the Bloodline rules knowing that the man who's going to be out there is going to be the man that just pinned him on night one and is now flexed all of his power to put Cody in this situation where he's not getting the clean match one-on-one like he wanted to. That's not going to happen. And so you're doubting him even more, and that makes, if Cody finishes the story, that makes it even more just, rewarding, right? That's what it comes down to. You get even more invested in it, and the emotions are even more intense, and that's what you want. The way you're setting everything up, I think that's exactly what Triple H wants, and so I think that's the direction they go, is have The Rock pin Cody Rhodes on night one. And what this also does, it gives you Cody Rhodes versus The Rock. I was questioning this in one of the previous videos we did a couple weeks ago. I said, they're teasing it. They were teasing an Elimination Chamber. Cody called out The Rock. Ultimately, that led to the tag team match. But I was like, I don't know if you're ever going to get Cody Rhodes versus The Rock. But I think the way this is starting to change a little bit, I think you're absolutely going to get Cody Rhodes versus The Rock. And I think what this does in this scenario, it gives you the biggest matches coming out of it. It doesn't just give you The Rock versus Roman Reigns. It gives you The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. It, of course, still gives you The Rock versus Roman Reigns. And there's other combinations you can work with, too. People have said, hey, maybe eventually you get to a Seth Rollins versus The Rock, too. Maybe all three of these guys that are sitting here in this tag team match are all going to get singles matches with The Rock. Could we see that happening? Sure. Because if The Rock's now a member of the TKO and he wants to do more than just one match, that's been the report out there. He's going to do more than just this. Of course, we've all talked about the possibility of injuries and all this other stuff. But if that's the setup, then I think maybe it is right there in front of us. All these men that are intertwined right now are all going to have matches with each other, and they're all going to kind of focus around The Rock as the final boss for everyone. Maybe he's the final boss for Seth Rollins in some story that they tell with him down the road. But to get there, to get the most out of this, to have the most intrigue, to build all the suspense up, to me, it comes with one scenario, and that's The Rock pinning Cody Rhodes to ultimately set up bloodline rules for Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns on night 2. So you guys let me know what you think. Cody is getting angrier, and The Rock is getting more and more personal, bringing the family into it. The Rock could potentially challenge for the title. Maybe it's SummerSlam. I don't think that's completely out of the idea. If the match goes well here, Cody Rhodes triumphing, winning, ultimately going to defend the title against The Rock at SummerSlam, then the next in line, you go to The Rock and Roman Reigns at next year's WrestleMania. Think about that. The big matches that you've just set up, the ticket-selling matches, if that's your lineup for your next biggest shows, right? SummerSlam, WrestleMania 41. I don't think you can do much better than that. So there you go. That's my thoughts on this thing. And so, again, I think this is the way it's going to go, and I think The Rock has to pin Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40 in this tag team match. But again, you guys let me know what you think in the comments. Love the feedback. So many great opinions on this, so many great predictions and kind of analysis going into what exactly all of this means now that we have The Rock as the final boss, and what will it mean for Cody Rhodes and everyone else here as we move forward. Hit that subscribe button. New channel here. A lot of these videos have kind of taken off. You guys seem to be enjoying all of this stuff, just breaking down all these tiny details. And even if we're wrong about this, that's the fun of it. We're talking about it. We're having a lot of discussion here and really trying to come up with what they could be doing next. And I think that's always so exciting when you have a storyline like this that is completely taken on a life of its own and is putting WWE in one of the hottest periods it's been in a long, long time. So we'll talk a lot about it here at Wrestling Reaction. Hit that subscribe button. Appreciate you guys watching as always. And let me know what you think. Is The Rock going to pin Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40 on night 1?